What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Courage to Grow podcast. This is a show for you if you're an entrepreneurial that is struggling or has struggled in the past and is looking for like the potential bright shining star in the future. Where does this go? How will I ever overcome these obstacles? When am I going to reap the benefits and rewards of entrepreneurship? Well, we're here to tell you that you will. On the other side of struggle is glory. So you just got to stick it out. And to prove that, we're going to share with you tons of entrepreneurial stories from all of our friends who own businesses around the world. Starting today with our friends over at Greenlight, running a personal training franchise company. So we have Jeff and Dan in the room. Jeff and Dan, how you guys doing?
Fantastic. How are you doing, Jeff?
Doing great. Dan, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. Happy to be here, guys.
Awesome. Good to hear. Joe Marcoux is here as well. Joe, how you doing, man?
I'm fired up. I'm even wearing the Greenlight personal training T-shirt in the fact that, so guys, thank you very much for this. It's funny because even my wife says, what the hell? It's the softest T-shirt you own. And it is. Like, I don't know what, it's a sign of quality. So Greenlight, you guys are doing it right. It's great. And
Greenlight doing it right.
I was going to say, did we just get a new tagline? I think we might have.
Go for it. Use it.
It's the look good, feel good, right?
Yeah.
There it is.
So we got to make our T-shirts look good.
That's your tagline for any trainers looking for like, I need structure. I need to do something to level up my business. And then you say, hey, just start a Greenlight franchise. Do it right. Greenlight, do it right. I love it. All right. So yeah,
Dan's writing it down.
Dan's writing it down. I love it. The way we like to kick this off, guys, is generally just give us your shortest possible version of the story, right? In 15 seconds or less. What is it that you guys do? Whichever one of you wants to take it. And what do you sell?
We help personal trainers or independent personal trainers open their dream studios.
That was, I think, a record, Joe. That was 2 seconds.
Without a doubt. It's a great offer.
And stopwatch.
Done in like 6 seconds. All right.
I love it.
It's a little bit more complicated than that, but it catches the gist, I think.
It always is more complicated, but the quicker you can deliver it, the better. Like, you just got to make it compelling in 1 to 2 sentences, no more than that. How many times have we all run into a business owner who's like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I do. And then you get the diatribe. It's just like, well, technically it's this. Like, no. Give me the shortest version of that possible and make it exciting. Like, that's what it's all about. So love it. All right. So we're talking about this PT franchise, helping people level things up. So give us the ins and outs of your start to this journey. I'm familiar with it. We've hung out a lot. We've talked about it a lot. Now, I wouldn't call it the smoothest start. What would you guys call it?
I'd say like learning lessons.
Yes.
So, I mean, like we came, Jeff and I and our 2 other partners and, YouTube early. Actually, Joe, you were in the fitness industry as well. Like we came from that, owning gyms, being trainers. We're lucky enough to then do well with those and then mentor other gyms. But franchising is a completely different game. And so when we talk about a rocky start, it's just like we're starting something new. We're not starting a gym. We've got the gym thing. Right. We're trying to go into franchising, which is a completely different kettle of fish here. So we had to learn a lot, and we still are learning a lot. There's a lot of like legalities involved we don't understand. There's nuances to franchising. It's expensive to start a franchise. So that's one thing to understand. So I would say, yeah, our start was, a lot of lessons learned because it's just something we didn't know much about, to be honest with you.
What was the driver? What was the driver for you guys to decide, hey, you know what, we need to do this for personal trainers?
I think it really came down to scalability. How long we've been mentoring, Dan? We've been in the game ourselves for a long time, and we struggled. And I love this idea of this podcast in general because, like, my gosh, the struggles out. It's the second you ask about somebody's struggles, that's when you actually hear the real story. It's not what they're showing you on Instagram, and then probably not a new story to tell. But we just saw everybody struggling. We struggled, and we were lucky enough to bring ourselves above that struggle but there was nowhere to go after that. And the amount of people that kind of got to where we're able to get to is so minuscule that we're like, hey, let's like, this is a problem. This is broken. And like, we're in the trend. We've helped people overcome that obstacle, but the amount of work and the diminishing returns of actually accomplishing that, it was just broken. That's how I felt. I felt that the whole process was just broken. And so we sat down and we're like, all right, the four of us, we sat down and we're like, it's broken. Let's just assume that. Let's make that one big assumption. Hey, this is all broken. The access model is broken. The group model is broken. It doesn't actually work for the people that it should, the actual owners, the people that are fitness professionals that actually want to do this for their livelihood. How would we do it again? How would we redo this if we could do it all over again? And two things came to us, and one is offering high ticket transformations. I don't know. That's a whole conversation to have. And then we team that with what we call overlapping personal training. And by charging enough and providing really great results to our clients, we're able to fix the model. We figured it out. We have the model that actually allows the business owner to live a balanced work life of their dreams while still helping people and providing careers for their trainers. And I just think that's I don't know, it's going to crack the nut, I think, Dan. So
I love it. Yeah. That's a huge issue for most people getting into it. And not to confuse anybody, because if we go back to your kind of rough start, which is a segment that we like to do just because the vast majority of entrepreneurs have a rough start, but there's so many people out there, like you said, thanks to Instagram, thinking that it's all just sunshine and rainbows, and it's definitely not. So you had your struggles, and you had mentioned that starting a franchise company is expensive. What you're referring to is a company that offers the franchisee the opportunity to own a franchise, right? So now you're getting into, okay, let's make this accessible for these trainers. So throwing out some facts, we know that within about 2 years of somebody getting a personal training certification, they are out. They're out of the industry. They're done. They quit. Why? Why do you guys think that is? Or why do you know that is? Because you know the facts. You had to do all this research to do what you do now.
Yeah, there's a few different components to it. Burnout is a big one. Mm-hmm. Personal trainers work when other people don't. So they're working early in the morning and they're working late at night.
Yeah.
And so you can only sustain that type of schedule for so long, right? Pay, at the end of the day, there's a ceiling put on personal trainers. Especially if you're working in big box gyms or even smaller boutique gyms. Generally, there's only so much money you can make. You're trading your time for money, so you can only get so far. Those trainers that do, venture out on their own, if they try to do it independently in rent space, well, now they're at the constraints of those particular gyms, and you end up running into the same problems. Right. You still only have so many people in at one time. You can only charge so much. There's a whole slew of issues that go from renting space from someone. But those are kind of like the main problems that trainers run into. And I think on the client level, trainers that are working for, other gyms, they're only allowed to do so much with clients. Right. Like the big box gyms, like you can't even talk about nutrition sometimes. Right. So the effect and impact. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just curious because you said there's a ceiling that these personal trainers have, and you have an intimate knowledge of this. So what's the ceiling, first of all, and then if these same personal trainers have a ceiling, what is the potential that they can make if they open a green light?
Well, it's kind of two different things, right? So if they're working as a trainer for like a big box gym, here, like in Toronto where I'm from, the big chain is Good Life Fitness. The most a trainer is going to make at Good Life is $50 an hour. And that's like your highest end. And that's with them doing a ton of sales as well. So I think if you broke it down to actual hourly wage, it's going to be a lot less than that.
$5.
Yeah, exactly. We can't, because of franchise
legality,
tell you exactly how much someone can make. But I think what you're asking, Joe, is like when a trainer decides to become a gym owner, it's no longer about working hours for money, right? That's no longer what it's about. What it's about is creating an asset for you, allowing you to have the most amount of impact on people, which is what you love to do. That's your passion. And what we've created at Greenlight is a very, very profitable way to do that. And the profit margin that we see, again, I can't say it outright, but the profit margin that we see is far and away greater than what the other small boutique gyms.
We can already tell that. And again, I'm not affiliated with Greenlight, so without mentioning numbers, I can tell you that there's a personal trainer who's within our program, who's with you guys. He's a Greenlight franchise. And this young man has already developed a level of freedom that he never had previously. I know he was working around the clock. It was blood, sweat, and tears. And then finally, when you guys fell into his lap, literally, he's now, and what's funny is that he's now creating more revenue for himself with a bigger impact, and he's just getting open.
He's not even open.
Yeah, he's not even open. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like,
he's getting equipment like this week, I think, or within a week.
He just got the flooring. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, I think that there's two sides to your question, Joe. I'm going to dig, like, one is the owner side, and I think Dan nailed that. But as like a trainer, and we believe that, like, for a Greenlight to be successful, we do have to provide our employees the best because we want the best. That's it. I want you to be able to, as a Greenlight franchise, to go find the best coach in your city. Not like, everybody, the best guy or girl, and bring them in, and they're now your retention because they're going to provide the best. And so we pay per session per head. And that's where the overlapping personal training comes in, is we pay our coaches $20, $25 per person per head. Or per session, sorry. So you're running 4 people at a time. Do the math.
Yeah, it's great money.
Your upside is right where you want to be. You're providing $100K a year on 20 to 30 hours a week of actual coaching.
Wow, that's great.
And now overlapping PT, I can run 12 to 16 clients in my morning block. And now all of a sudden I'm not doing split shifts.
So this idea then is that you're not opening up this massive 20,000, 100,000 square foot gym. You could really do this in how many square feet?
We do it in 1,200. That's our
thinking.
That's awesome.
And we actually have like, we're actually turning into a new tagline, but we have a race to 50. So our studios are going to be capacity of 50 clients.
Nice.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
personalized service.
Yeah, and then after that, you go onto a wait list. And you guys are in sales, all about the power of wait lists. And if we can get potential clients onto wait lists, well, now all of a sudden we have a consistent flow for our studios of clients coming in. But yeah, it's the race to 50.
I love that. And I feel like that should be just, throwing off big fat alarm sirens for people, where they should be like, wait, what, 50? That's insane. Because most gym owners, most trainers are constantly thinking in the hundreds. They're like, okay, well, in order for me to make enough money as a trainer, like, I got to work 168 hours a week out of 168 hours and I never sleep ever again or see my family and, just basically live on my own. Right. And that's just not reasonable. As a gym owner, you're thinking, okay, I need 150, right? Was the magic number for group format. If I'm an access-based gym, it's now in the thousands. Like, in order to achieve financial freedom, I need thousands of members, which also equals thousands of headaches. If I only had to manage 50 people, it's a freaking cakewalk. That is a vacation, essentially. Like, I should be stoked about that. So if anybody out there is listening to this and you're struggling with those numbers, you can make it easier. You absolutely can. And again, going way back to the beginning, you mentioned, going into a franchise, like, this is an affordable opportunity. Like, this is something that financially would make sense as a trainer to potentially, what do you got to do? Take out a loan, make the thing happen. You would have to do that if you started a gym anyways. I remember doing that and then just hustling to fill the capacity of my CrossFit gym, which was an absolute nightmare. This would be so much easier. And then you're profiting right out the gate. Like it just makes sense. I love that you guys mentioned you cracked it, right? And it is something that I think, unfortunately, a lot of trainers, gym owners, they don't look at it as broken. They're playing the game. They're playing the wrong game and losing. Yeah. And they're like, why am I losing to this game?
I'm gonna write that down. That's fantastic.
They just have to switch, man. Like change the game up. That's really the entrepreneurial spirit to me, is thinking outside the box. It's always like, it doesn't have to be this way. Like, what if this is broken? What if like the game we're all set to play is actually the broken thing? And if we just don't play that game, we play a different one, we could succeed. And that's where I see like a lot of entrepreneurs just skyrocket to success, because they play a game nobody else is touching, right? And that's kind of what you guys are hitting on. I love it.
They fail along the way, which brings us to a segment that we like to call sales fails. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody part of being courageous in this entrepreneurial game is to understand that, hey, you're going to fail along the way. And then, we like to say, hey, it's a safe place to make mistakes as long as we correct them quickly. Because some people just keep making the same damn mistake over and over and over and over again, and then they quit. So when I think of a sales fail, I'm curious about with you guys. Dan, I'll start with you. We've all had sales fails. Mm-hmm. Give us an example of a story where you had a conversation with someone and it just failed miserably.
Crash and burn, baby.
We've all got them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back. What's actually may not be one story. It's kind of a collection.
Sure.
So I recently at my one gym, I had my sales girl. She had to leave the country. So she wasn't granted permanent residency. And so she had been doing this job for 4 years. And so the interim solution was Dan. And Dan hadn't been doing sales for 4 years. So for about a month straight there, I had to jump back in to start selling gym memberships. And so much at my gym had changed since the last time I was doing it. And just even the way that we sold. And so I'm not going to lie, I went 0 for 15.
Ouch.
And I was usually really good at sales. It was just like, I don't know, I had like maybe a stupid arrogance about me, or, I the conversations, I just like rushed. I never really, and I know like I teach how to do it, right, to some degree. And I just wasn't in that position. I just hadn't been in that position for so long. And I think the fail and the lesson that I learned is like, it's not necessarily like riding a bike. Like this is sales are one of those things that you have to continue to perfect, and and the only way to do that is with reps, right? And this, obviously that's a big part of your program. And so it was a big slap in the face, because I would sit there across from people like it was a guarantee they're going to buy it. And nope.
This is what happens. And you nailed it.
Check.
You left. Yeah. You left it. You had somebody else take over, and then what happens is you go back into it, and you're so used to what you knew 4 years ago is that you go into, well, I'm a cashier. I mean, this is going to happen, or I'm an order taker, and you miss out on all those important pieces of the roadmap that get you the result. So that's Jeff. How about you?
It's not a single one again. I'm gonna kind of put a little bit more of a generalization on it. But for Oakville, our studio here in Oakville, Ontario, I've done a lot of the sales for that. So I've had a lot of sales conversations, and oh boy, the ups and the downs, right? Mm-hmm. The 0 and 5 early that's just standard. I just kind of shake that off now. But what I found was that I would start crushing it, right? I would be going 4 and 4. I'd be at 6 and 6. Now I'm 8 of 9. And then I start free flowing. I start moving away from my script, and I start I start jumping around. I know what I'm doing. I got this. I'm gonna play it by feel. And then zeros. No sale. And it was like, it was Dave Best, my partner, and he was just like, just go back to the script, man. And I was like, sale. And it was just, it was I'm not reading the script, but I'm following the script. I'm following the process of like taking them through the journeys and actually having the real conversations and not skipping parts or going in at the different in different orders, and it was like, oh, I just needed to go take a step back and give my ego a quick kick, and then all of a sudden things started moving again. So I thought that was, hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, no,
totally
that's
does.
great. It's back to the basics, right? And I think we all need to take a page out of that book. Like anytime we get into that phase of struggling, like you said, you start free flowing and then it's zeros on the board. You can always rely on going back to the basics. That's generally the answer. It's just simplify and go back to basics.
And Larshi, what you said was bang on. It's the ego that gets in the way. Like, how many times have you guys all heard this? Oh, I know this already. Or I do that already. Well, if you're doing it, then you wouldn't have the feeling. So you're not doing it because you think, you know, that it's interesting with people that are in a space of poverty or poor people, and that you could register that in a variety of different ways. A lot of them, they will say they already know. Whereas successful people, there's something that I find interesting with them, and it's like, I'm willing to know more. I need to learn more.
Well, there's also the saying, you want to be the dumbest person in the room. Like surround yourself with people who know more, who lead better, who do what you want to do, but do it better, right? And if you're open to learning, then you can learn from them, then you can grow, and then you can succeed, which is where we all should find ourselves. Like the best entrepreneurs are those who do not pretend to know everything and go through every day pretending that they do, because those are the ones that are going to fall on their face. At some point, you're going to fall on your face. Versus seeking mentorship, for example. It's like, I don't know. I know I don't know. I know somebody else out there knows, so I'm going to ask them, right? And then I'm going to take action on what it is that they say. And that's how you can really be successful. So with that in mind, I want to shift gears, because we like to go, hey, let's give some examples of failure. And as every entrepreneur should know, failure is a part of the process. The only way you're going to grow is if you do fall on your face a few times. It's about getting back up. So fall on your face, but get back up. Learn from that experience and then apply, and you're going to get better. Things will get better. You have to have a little bit of faith there, and this is where the courage to grow comes in. You have to have courage to get back up and do it again, to try again, to do something different. So for you guys, again, either one of you, whoever wants to go first here, give us an example of, learning through some of those failures.
I'll jump in there.
Yep.
One of our core values is do the small work. It's a company value, and it's the small things that, and this is, I'm going to blend a little bit of lead nurture and a little bit of process into the sales, but doing the small work is following up with leads as they come in, and doing that leads to the sales process. It leads to the trust early on in the relationship. It leads to that process growing and you having a bit more success. And so it's the small things. It's doing the small. I like that saying that we kind of wordsmith that one a little bit, is like, do the small work, the little things that actually turn into the big results that you're looking for. That doesn't matter about the big stuff if you don't get that small stuff right. And for me, the big one, another core value is speed is king, right? And so getting to leads fast, getting responsiveness to client communication, all of that stuff, it needs to be fast. So
love it. Awesome. Dan, you?
Yeah, key to success for me is, and we're just going through this right now, is finding someone who's done what you're looking to do and going to them to ask how to do it. Right. And, why try to figure things out on your own when someone else has done or is doing what you want to do?
Drop the ego and go ask.
You got it. And your fastest way from point A to point B is going to be asking them how they did it. And most people who have been successful love talking about it. And they are more than happy to kind of help you, right? And so we actually just started working with a new mentor who has literally done exactly what we want to do and where we want to get to. Bit of a different industry, but it doesn't matter. And franchising is kind of the same path. And so we've gone to him, and it's just like every conversation we have with him is mind-blowing for us. Nice. And you can just see it's like, okay, by listening to him, we are going to be so much more successful and so much more successful quickly.
I want to do one. Dan just saved somebody $50,000 to $100,000, is that don't hire somebody who hasn't done what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They might have a great sales pitch. You'll sit in their onboarding session, you'll feel great about it, and then the implementation will fall short every single time.
Yep.
Been there. Gosh, I wish we didn't. Here's the failures. We spent $30,000 on our initial marketing firm. 30 grand.
No.
Gone. Didn't get a single thing out of it.
Shoot.
It was like, and there was a mistake that I've made before, and now I'm like, but when you find somebody who's done it and actually done the work and spent the time and built the experience, like those are the people you want to hire. Those are the people you need to hire.
It's literally my biggest pet peeve in the industry, in any industry right now. It seems like with the growth of online coaches,
Right.
it seems like people, like whether it's nutrition, fitness, whatever it is, they're in that industry, they're in that as a coach, and then they get their business to 15 or 20 grand a month, and then all of a sudden they think that they're an expert who can then teach people how to do it. But to me, that's not, I mean, if you want to teach someone to get to 10, 15 grand a month, that's fine, because that's what you did. But don't all of a sudden now become a business coach for people, for nutrition coaches who are trying to like actually build a big business. And I'm just
help you to get to 9 figures, where it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you're not like, yeah. Hey,
I'm gonna get you to 5 figures. You guys stay tuned. You too can make 70K a year, just like me. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, strange that's the norm now, though.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pandemic world. That's what it is. It's like post-pandemic. What am I gonna do? I'm not making enough money. Well, I'll just coach, right? I'll let my business kind of go either free fall and into despair and disappear, or hire somebody to run it for me or whatever, or I'll just sell it and then I'll go be a coach. And that's what creates a lot of skepticism, unfortunately, which hurts people like us around coaching, around mentors. It's like Joe and I can post an ad and people would be like, well, this is nonsense, this is obviously a scam, because there's the skepticism around it, right? People are naturally they're naturally now skeptical of the guru, because we expect the guru to be a liar, to be a fake, right? To take my money and run with it, and I get nothing out of it. And I mean, it's you guys spent 30K and didn't get anything out of your program. Joe and I have spent tons and tons of money on programs we got nothing out of. It's just part of the process of learning, right? Like what works, what doesn't. Yeah. So you definitely do need to be cautious. You do need to do your homework on people, and the rest of us out here, we have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that we know what we're talking about. And I think testimonials, stories, proof and data will always be there on our side to help out with that too.
The good ones are out there. The ones that have done it are actually out there. And I think that like we were at the point where we were like so frustrated with bad hire, bad, that like I don't know, Dan, I kind of was at the point where I was like, I don't know if there's anybody out there for us. And then we kept trying, and we changed our way of like assessing, and then they're there. They are there, and they are worth every friggin' dollar.
Yeah.
So
it also took us a year to hire them. Like
that's true too. We took our time.
Yeah. I don't want to get burned again. I think we can do this on our own.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, we're like, okay, no, we need someone. Let's go.
Joe, those objections sound very familiar. Like things that we cover.
We hear it.
Yep. Awesome. Well, hey, I love this, you guys. Here's what we would like to wrap up with every time. It's just like, where are we going from here? Right. So we shared some stories. We got some ideas. We got some good insight with you. Where's Greenlight going next? Like, what's your trajectory, if you will?
Yeah. What's the dream?
Dan, you want to go?
We've set an internal target of 175 studios in 5 years.
Great.
Nice.
There's a lot of numbers that go with that. It's a very aggressive kind of target, but we honestly believe now we're the anti-Orange Theory, anti-F45. Yeah. We built this business for fitness professionals. And I think, if fitness professionals are allowed to thrive, then the health and fitness of those that they serve will just be that much greater, and we'll be able to have that much more of an impact on people, more than the fitness industry has ever had. If we can thrive, then we're in for a healthier population, guys.
We're excited we're really excited to be connected with you guys. The fact that, the High Ticket Sales University and SOS, Sales Objection System Dojo, have now this official connection between Greenlight Personal Training and your clients to come into what we do, because your values, you guys, are exactly aligned with what Jeff and I want for, the communities that your clients are serving. It's one of the reasons why I do what I do. And the fact that this has come together this way, I can't tell you how fired up I am for you guys. And I can't say enough. If anybody is just curious about getting a Greenlight franchise, where can people, men and ladies alike here, that are looking at, hey, I want to become a franchise owner of this opportunity, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you want to check out our website, greenlightfranchising.com. A lot of great information on there. But submit a request for information, and you're going to get me. I'm going to be the one responding, and we're going to have a conversation about how we can help you. I'd recommend you follow me, Larsh.Jeff, on Instagram. We're trying really hard to put out some solid content for you guys to maybe take those first steps, maybe even kind of expand your mind a little bit and figure out where you can go, and that, there is another answer. And Dan, where would you like them to push them to?
Yeah, check me out, Coach Dan DeZenton, on Instagram, or just head to our website, like Jeff said. Or you can follow Greenlight _ at Greenlight _ PT.
It's better to follow us.
Lots of different places. Definitely check out the website. If you're a personal trainer out there and you're struggling and you're wondering how you move from just trading your time for money to really scaling, like, this is a great move. I know for myself, my own experience, when I became a trainer, the struggle was real, and I struggled for longer than most people would be willing to struggle, I would say, because I'm very hard-headed. But I wish something like this existed. I've told you guys this before. I wish this existed when I was still training, because to me, it would have been a better option than the option I ended up going with my group format gym, where everything was like working backwards, always trying to fix a problem that I shouldn't even really be dealing with. So yeah, if you guys are out there, you're struggling as a personal trainer, you're looking for ways to scale, this is a great opportunity. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for being on the show. Really appreciate you. It's been a fantastic conversation. And thank you to everyone listening as well. Tune in next week. We'll be doing new episodes every single week. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, or subscribe wherever you guys listen to your podcast. And consider joining our mailing list, description below. And you can also join our free Facebook group, the Sales Objection System Dojo, to see more content that will help you skyrocket your business to success. Thanks for listening, you guys. And Chaz, take us out.